The mother-in-law audaciously jingled the keys to her new car while dinner was being prepared, having taken out a 3-year loan that consumed her entire salary, all while hoping her wife would provide for him in her apartment. Today's story is about when sheer audacity is presented as success and selfishness as consideration for others. Friday evening was meant to be hers and Baring's alone. The cat, a massive gray British Shorthair with the disposition of a dormitory warden, lay on the windowsill, disdainfully twitching an ear as he gazed at the wet asphalt of the courtyard. Margarita stood nearby, holding a glass of dry red wine. Silence. The apartment smelled of cleanliness, expensive fabric softener, and that peculiar calm that settles in when you're the one paying your own bills. The illusion was shattered by a sound, not just a beep, but an insistent, obnoxious blare that set off the car alarms of the parked vehicles. Margarita winced. 9th floor, yet it sounded as if it were right in her ear. She glanced down. In the middle of the courtyard, blocking the exit of a neighbor's gray Toyota, sat a snow-white behemoth, a Chinese crossover, enormous, gleaming, like a plastic soap dish inflated with self-importance. The door sprang open. Oleg tumbled out of the driver's seat. Even from the 9th floor, Rita saw how he swelled with pride. He didn't just exit, he oozed out, arms spread wide as if to embrace this entire gray, panel-building world. And from the passenger seat, primping her hair, emerged Tamara Zakharovna with regal grace. The phone on the table sprang to life. Margot's beloved husband. "Open the barrier! I didn't bother looking for the fob. And start setting the table, we're on our way up." She slowly set down her glass, glancing at Baring. The cat yawned, revealing a pink maw. "Looks like it's up to you, owner," he seemed to say. "Setting the table, is it?" she murmured. A sharp scent of someone else's triumph filled the entryway. "Do you know that smell? A mix of cheap cologne, powder, damp street air, and the adrenaline of people who've done something foolish but expect praise for it." Right. Tamara Zakharovna glided in first. She wore a coat with a fur collar that seemed to be worn like a coronation mantle. She didn't remove her shoes, walking directly into the hallway onto the light laminate flooring. "Well, where's the hostess? Welcome the victors." Oleg followed, twirling the fob with its chrome accents on his finger. His eyes sparkled, his cheeks were flushed, his breathing ragged, like a child who'd pilfered a candy. "Did you see?" he exhaled, not even kissing his wife. "I saw the beast. 2-liter turbo, panoramic roof, leather, fully loaded." He tossed the keys onto the side table with a clatter that sounded like he'd thrown a gold ingot. 4.2, Tamara Zakharovna added, surveying Rita's entryway as if appraising the renovation. "But for my son, nothing is too good. He deserves the best." Rita stood with her arms crossed. She was in simple home jeans and a t-shirt, no makeup, but in her own home, she always felt superior to these over-groomed guests. "Hello?" she said evenly. "Shoes, Tamara Zakharovna. The laminate doesn't like heels." Her mother-in-law pursed her lips but complied. "Oh, Margarita, always with your rules. You should be celebrating the event of the century. Oleg is a respectable man now. The head of sales shouldn't be driving a Lada." "He's not the head of sales," Rita corrected calmly. "He's a senior manager." "That's temporary," Oleg dismissed, walking into the living room and flopping onto the sofa. The sofa creaked. Baring, who had been sleeping in an armchair, opened one eye and hissed. "With a car like that, they'll respect me immediately. Ridka's status is an investment in his image." Rita followed him in. "You bought a car?" she asked. Her voice was quiet, deceptively soft. "We bought it," Tamara Zakharovna corrected, settling next to her son and possessively placing a hand on his knee. "I helped with the selection. Oleg has excellent taste, but a woman's perspective was needed." "With what money?" Rita looked only at her husband. Oleg faltered. The euphoria had slightly receded, giving way to a hint of nervousness. He knew that look of his wife's, the look of an auditor who'd found a discrepancy in the annual report. "Well, there was a sale, a huge discount. It would have been a sin not to take it." "The money, Oleg. We have 100,000 on the joint account. You had 200 in savings, and the car costs 4 million. Where did it come from? A car loan, of course, his mother-in-law barked, as if explaining the obvious to an idiot. That's how everyone lives now, the whole civilized world. Do you want him to ride the bus? Rita sat in the armchair opposite, slowly. The terms... Oh, don't be such a bore. Oleg jumped up and paced the room. He couldn't sit still. The adrenaline demanded an outlet. It's all fine there. Approved in an hour. Just passport and license. They weren't too strict about income verification. I embellished the figures a bit. The payment, Oleg. A pause hung in the air. Oleg looked at his mother. Tamara Zakharovna nodded encouragingly. 85, Oleg said quickly. The room became very quiet. One could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen and the ticking of the clock. 85,000 rubles a month? Rita repeated. Well, yes, there's life insurance, Casco, extras, but it comes with a 5-year warranty. Oleg. Rita spoke very clearly, enunciating each syllable. Your salary is 85,000. If there's a bonus, 90. If there's a penalty for being late, 80. Oleg shrugged. So what? I'll try harder. The percentage will come in. I'm on such a high now I can move mountains. Besides, Mom said. What did Mom say? Rita shifted her gaze to her mother-in-law. Tamara Zakharovna smoothed the folds of her skirt. I said that in a family, there must be mutual support. You, Margarita, have a good stable salary, your own apartment, no mortgage payments. Surely you won't begrudge your husband a loaf of bread? He's working for the family. He'll drive you to Oshan, to the Dasha. At this point, a pause and commentary are absolutely necessary. Appreciate the artistry. An adult man and his mother are spending their entire earnings on status, and the responsibility for the family's survival is apparently to fall on the wife because she owns an apartment. I'm curious to hear your opinion. How would you act in the heroine's place upon hearing such a proposal of mutual support? Write in the comments if you would tolerate such a consumerist attitude. And now, we continue. It was so brazen that Rita couldn't immediately find words. She looked at them, the mother-son duo, and saw how tightly they were bound in this venture. So, Rita began, feeling a cold rage rise from her stomach to her throat, but keeping her face stony. Your entire salary goes to the bank, 0. Well, it's only for 3 years, Oleg interjected. They'll fly by, you won't notice. And what will we live on? Food, gas for this tank, utilities, internet, your cigarettes, clothes. Rita! Tamara Zakharovna threw up her hands, her bracelets clanking. What a Philistine you are, only thinking about sausage. The boy's dream has come true. You could have been happy for him. Set the table, open the champagne. By the way, we've been starving in the car for 6 hours while they processed everything. Yeah, honey, Oleg chimed in, feeling the support. Is there anything to eat? We'd celebrate. I brought some wine, a bottle in the trunk. Run and get it while I stretch my legs? He yawned. The pedals, you know, are still unfamiliar. Rita stood up. A kaleidoscope of numbers spun in her head. 85,000. Alone. Gasoline for such a behemoth, another 15 to 20,000. Windshield washer fluid, fines. And Oleg loved to drive fast. That's 100,000 rubles a month gone from the family budget. More accurately, it's the complete annihilation of his contribution and a huge hole he planned to plug with her money, her life, her vacation, her planned bathroom renovation, her peace of mind. Run and get it, she repeated. Yeah, the keys are in the hallway. Oleg was already scrolling through photos of the car on his phone, probably posting them on social media. #tag new jalopy, #success. Rita went to the hallway, took the car keys, heavy, plastic, warm from his hands, and returned. I'll be right back, she said. Just need to go to the store. There's not a mouse in the fridge. Oh, go ahead, Oleg livened up. Get some meat. Steaks would be good, and some sliced sausage. Mom likes servelat. Okay, Rita nodded. So, steaks and servelat. She left the apartment. The elevator took a long time. It was dark outside. The white crossover gleamed under the streetlight, occupying 2 parking spaces. The neighbor, Uncle Pasha, was walking his dog and shook his head disapprovingly, looking at this marvel of Chinese automotive engineering. "Are they yours?" he asked, nodding at the car. "They blocked my exit, and I wanted to go to the dacha tomorrow." "They'll move, Uncle Pasha. They'll move soon," Rita said. She walked to the Pyaterochka, browsed the aisles for 20 minutes. She thought she didn't cry. Tears would be an inadmissible luxury now, a waste of resources. She had entered crisis management mode. The situation was crystal clear. Oleg hadn't just bought a toy, he had committed an act of financial violence. He had burdened the Yermov family without asking, convinced that Rita was a bottomless barrel who would endure anything because she loved him, because she was his wife, because the apartment was hers, and he had nowhere to go. She remembered how they got married 3 years ago. Oleg had been normal, not a star, but he worked, brought in money, laughed at her jokes. Then Tamara Zakharovna appeared with her eternal, "You deserve more and a wife should inspire." And Oleg drifted, began to wrinkle his nose at trips to Turkey. "We need to go to the Maldives like normal people." But he didn't give money. He started buying designer clothes on his credit card. Image was everything. The car was the finale, the point of no return. Rita approached the checkout. "Need a bag?" "No." She returned home. The apartment was noisy. The TV was on at full blast. Some show was playing. Oleg and his mother were discussing something, laughing. "Oh, the provider has returned," Oleg exclaimed without turning his head. "So, are we frying?" Rita walked into the kitchen, laid out the purchases on the table. A loaf of white bread, a packet of chicken instant noodles, and one small package of expensive brie cheese with mold. She picked up a knife, carefully sliced the cheese, and placed it on a beautiful plate. She poured herself more wine. "Oleg, Tamara Zakharovna, please come to the table." They appeared instantly. Her mother-in-law rubbed her hands together. Oleg had already prepared a fork. They stared at the empty table. Bread, instant noodles, and a plate of cheese in front of them. "What is this?" Tamara Zakharovna asked, her voice cracking. "A joke." "Why a joke?" Rita asked, sipping her wine. "This is dinner. Where's the meat?" "You went to the store," Oleg exclaimed indignantly. "Rita, are you kidding me? I'm starving." Rita slowly chewed a piece of cheese. She savored the moment. This wasn't revenge. It was a presentation of a new reality. "Oleg," she said evenly, "let's calculate. Open the calculator on your phone." "What calculator?" "I want to eat." "Open it." There was so much steel in Rita's voice that Oleg grudgingly pulled out his phone. "Write it down." "Family income. It used to be my 120, plus your 85, totaling 205. We lived well, went on vacation, saved. Now your 85 goes to the bank, leaving my 120. "Well," Tamara Zakharovna said, 120,000 is a lot of money. We have people living on 30 for the whole family." "True," Rita nodded. "But that's my 120. I've been calculating. I need to pay utilities for this apartment, 8,000. Food. I like to eat salmon and vegetables, that's another 30. Cosmetics, clothes, fitness, gasoline for my car. In short, I've drawn up a budget. And you know, Oleg," she looked him directly in the eyes, "my budget has no line item for supporting an adult man with ambitions." Oleg blinked. His mouth fell slightly open. "What do you mean? We're husband and wife." "That's the point. You made a decision unilaterally. You've completely withdrawn your contribution from the family. You decided that for 3 years you'd be a parasite on me. You didn't ask. You presented me with a fait accompli." "How can you say that?" his mother shrieked, jumping up from her chair. "A parasite in your own apartment. This is his home too. He's the husband." "This is my apartment, Tamara Zakharovna, purchased before the marriage with my money. Oleg is only registered here, and, incidentally, temporarily." Rita stood up. She wasn't shouting. She spoke as if announcing a verdict from a tribunal. No emotion, just facts. "Oleg, you wanted adult life? Status? Here it is. The status of someone who takes responsibility for their decisions. Do you have a car? You can sleep in it probably. The seats recline. Are you kicking me out over a car?" Oleg turned pale. Rich, you're crazy. It's just a piece of metal. No, Oleg, not because of the car, but because you think I'm a fool. You took out a 3-year loan with a payment that consumes your entire salary, hoping I would feed you in my apartment. He sat there blinking, and his mother-in-law, who had just been playing with car keys, froze. A ringing silence fell in the kitchen. Bering entered the room, rubbed against Rita's legs, and let out a disdainful meow in the direction of the guests. "Pack up," Rita said. "I'll send your things to you later by courier. Take only the absolute essentials: passport, underwear, indecipherable word, Mom." Oleg turned to Tamara Zakharovna. He was bewildered. In his worldview, his wife was supposed to yell a little but then resign herself, accept it, admire it. His mother-in-law turned red. "You'll regret this, Margarita. You'll be alone. Who will want you, you cold-hearted prune? He'll find another soft, kind one, and you'll rot here with your cat." "I don't doubt it," Rita smirked. "He certainly will," and let her feed him. "And you, Tamara Zakharovna, I believe you have a 2-room apartment?" "Excellent. Your son will have somewhere to sleep. You said families should help each other, right? So help him, feed him, fill his new car's tank, invest." Oleg was still sitting. "Rich, come on, you went too far. Okay, I'll return it." "You can't," Rita said. "As an auditor, I'm telling you, the moment you drove it off the lot, it lost 20% of its value, plus insurance, which won't be fully refunded, plus bank interest. If you sell it now, you'll be without a car but with $500,000 in debt. This is your hole, Oleg, not mine." She took the car keys from the table and threw them at him. "Catch and get out." Packing took 10 minutes. Tamara Zakharovna tried to create a scene, yelling about conscience, about women's rights, and even tried to break a vase in the hallway. But Rita calmly said, "If you break it, I'll call the police. Property damage. I have cameras in the building." Oleg left in silence. He looked like a beaten dog kicked out of warmth into the frost. He dragged a sports bag with his belongings, and in his hand he clutched the keys to his dream. Now this dream weighed not 4 million, but 3 tons of problems. When the door clicked shut behind them, Rita turned the lock twice. Click, click. The sound was the sweetest thing she had heard in years. She returned to the kitchen. The instant noodles lay unopened. She took the cheese, poured herself more wine, and walked to the window. From below, the disgruntled growl of an engine could be heard. Oleg was trying to maneuver without hitting the neighbor's car. His mother-in-law waved her arms, directing the parking. Finally, the white crossover, its red taillights flashing, pulled out of the courtyard and disappeared into the night. Rita took a deep breath. The air in the apartment felt clean again. No cheap cologne, no lies. She knew that tomorrow there would be calls, pleas, threats, that divorce was a bureaucratic process, but she had done the main thing. She had refused to be treated as a resource. Bering jumped onto the windowsill and nudged her hand with his head. "Everything's fine," Rita said to him. "You and I, Kat, are not greedy. We just don't like being considered idiots." She took a bite of cheese. It was delicious, and most importantly, it was her cheese, a tough but, in my opinion, absolutely correct decision. Self-respect is worth far more than any car, and it's great that the heroine realized this before falling into a debt trap. If you've ever witnessed similar displays of generosity at someone else's expense, share your stories. Wishing everyone peace and financial well-being.